Baby, I am so sorry. I am stuck in this meeting. It ran over. Just grab a taxi.
He is finally leaving her. 2 weeks without her in that house, and he realized what he actually wants. Me.
Angela didn't just watch her husband drive away from that airport. She watched him hand her the receipt for everything she needed to know. And she kept it. Chloe thought she was riding home with a free man. She had no idea she was riding toward a life she was completely unprepared to live. Before we go any deeper into this story, please like this video, subscribe to Her Drama Tales, and tell us in the comments where in the world you are watching from right now. We have people joining us from every corner of this earth, and we want to know exactly where you are today. Now let us get back into the story. The arrivals hall of the airport smelled of recycled air and coffee from the small stand near the exit doors. It was the smell of returning, of coming back to something, of the particular anticipation that lives in the body when you are almost home after 2 weeks away. Angela stood at the baggage carousel with her coat over her arm and her phone in her hand. Her suitcase was the burgundy one with the small gold zipper pull she had tied on 3 years ago, so she could spot it quickly on the belt. She had packed it herself 2 weeks ago when she left for the work training course. She had packed it carefully, the way she did everything, folded and organized and ready. She had been away for 14 days. 14 days of early mornings in a training center 3 cities away. 14 days of FaceTime calls in the evenings, Michael's face on her screen, his voice telling her about his day, asking about hers. Miss you already. Can't wait for you to be home. I'll be at arrivals at 3, don't worry. She had trusted all of it. She had no reason not to. She collected her suitcase from the belt. She extended the handle. She walked toward the arrivals exit, feeling the particular lightness of someone who is almost home. She called Michael when she reached the waiting area. He answered on the 3rd ring. Baby. His voice was warm and slightly rushed. The voice of a man performing calm. I am so sorry. The Henderson meeting ran completely over. I am still at the office. I cannot get out of this right now. I feel terrible. Just take a taxi, okay? I will make it up to you tonight. I promise. Angela stood still. She looked at the wall in front of her. You promised you would be here, Michael. I know, and I am sorry. This came out of nowhere. Just grab a taxi, it's 20 minutes. I'll have dinner ready. Okay, Angela said. She hung up. She stood for a moment with the phone in her hand. The arrivals hall moved around her. Families reuniting. Drivers holding signs. The automatic doors opening and closing with a breath of outside air each time. She began walking toward the taxi rank. And then she stopped, because across the arrivals hall, moving through the crowd with the easy confidence of a man who had nowhere else to be, was Michael. Her husband. Not at the office. Not in the Henderson meeting. Not stuck anywhere. Here. At the airport. At the same airport. In the same building where he had just told her, 30 seconds ago on the phone, that he was too far away to come. Angela did not move. She stood with her burgundy suitcase beside her, and she watched. Michael was walking toward the arrivals gate. He had his hands in his pockets, and he was smiling the way Angela had not seen him smile in a long time. Easy and open and unguarded. He was wearing the dark blue jacket she had bought him for his birthday last year. He looked good. He had made an effort. The arrivals gate opened. A woman came through pulling a small silver case. She was around 30, with dark hair and a red jacket, and the particular brightness of someone who has been counting down to this moment. When she saw Michael, her face opened into a wide, delighted smile. He walked toward her. He hugged her. Not a careful hug. A long one. The kind that says, I missed you, and I am glad you are here, and I have been waiting for this. Then he took her silver case from her hand. He said something that made her laugh. She touched his arm. He opened the door of the parking area for her. He put her case in the trunk of his car, the same car Angela had sat in 2 weeks ago when he drove her to this same airport and kissed her goodbye at the departure doors and said, be safe and call me when you land. He drove away. Angela stood in the arrivals hall with her burgundy suitcase, and she watched his car disappear through the exit barrier. The automatic doors opened and closed. A family walked past her laughing. The coffee stand near the exit filled the air with the smell of something warm. She looked at her phone. Michael's name was still on the screen from the call that had ended 2 minutes ago. She put the phone in her bag. She did not cry. She felt something move through her that was not grief and was not anger. It was something colder and cleaner than both. It was the feeling of a picture coming into focus. of understanding something that had been blurred for a long time and was now, suddenly, sharp. She walked to the taxi rank. She put her suitcase in the boot of a cab. She got in. She gave her home address. She looked out the window as the taxi pulled away from the airport. She was going home. But she was not going home the same way she had left. The house smelled different when she walked in. Not wrong exactly. Just different. A faint trace of something she could not immediately name. A perfume that was not hers. Floral and sweet, and very slightly too much of itself. Angela stood in the entrance hall with her suitcase, and she breathed it in. She walked through the living room. Everything looked as it should. The cushions were straight. The coffee table was clear. Michael had made an effort to tidy before she arrived, or perhaps before someone else had come. She went to the kitchen. On the counter was a mug she did not recognize. Not one of theirs. A white mug with a small pink flower on the side. The kind of mug that someone brings from their own home or buys because they like it. It was clean. It had been washed. But it was not theirs, and it had not been there when Angela left 2 weeks ago. She picked it up and looked at it. She set it back down. She went upstairs. She was not looking for evidence. She was not in detective mode. She was simply walking through her own home after 2 weeks away and noticing the things that had shifted in her absence. A woman who pays attention always notices when things have shifted. In the bathroom, she found a small travel bottle of conditioner on the shower shelf. A brand Angela did not use. The bottle was almost empty. She looked at it for a long moment. Then she went back downstairs. She made herself a cup of tea. She sat at the kitchen table. She looked at the white mug with the pink flower. She drank her tea slowly. She thought clearly and carefully the way she always thought, without panic, without performance. By the time she heard Michael's key in the front door, she was on her second cup. He came in carrying a takeaway bag. "You're home." He sounded surprised. He covered it quickly with a smile and a hug that was slightly too enthusiastic. "I thought you'd only just left the airport. I got your favorite. I was going to have it ready for you." "I took a taxi," Angela said. "Like you suggested." Right, of course." He set the bag down. He looked at her. Something in her stillness registered with him. A slight shift in his expression, a recalculation happening behind his eyes. "You okay? You look tired." "I'm not tired," Angela said. "Long flight?" "Short flight. Long day." She looked at him. She looked at the dark blue jacket. The birthday jacket. He was still wearing it. "How was the Henderson meeting?" she asked. "Good. Went well in the end." He was moving around the kitchen, getting plates, not looking at her directly. "Sorry again about the pickup. It really did run over." "Which floor is the Henderson account on?" Angela asked. Michael paused. A fraction of a second. Barely visible. But Angela had been married to this man for 7 years, and she had learned the precise length of his genuine pauses, and this one was longer. "Third floor," he said. "Why?" "Just wondering," Angela said. She stood up. She walked to the counter. She picked up the white mug with the pink flower and held it up. "Whose is this?" she asked. The kitchen went quiet. The kind of quiet that has weight. "A colleague came by to drop off some files," Michael said. "While you were away. She had a coffee." "She brought her own mug to your house to have coffee?" Angela said. "She just had it in her bag." "Michael," Angela said. Her voice was completely even. Not raised. Not trembling. Just clear. "I was at the airport today. I called you and you told me you were at the office. I was standing in the arrivals hall when I watched you walk through the same arrivals hall. I watched you hug a woman, take her luggage, drive away with her while I was standing 20 meters behind you with my suitcase." The takeaway bag sat on the counter between them. The food inside was going cold. Michael's face went through several things in a short amount of time. Surprise. Calculation. Something that might have been the beginning of denial before he saw her expression and understood that denial was not going to work here. "Angela, you called me baby," she said, "while you were standing in the same building as me. You told me you were stuck at the office, and you called me baby, and you said you were sorry." He said nothing. "How long?" she said. A pause. The longest one yet. 6 months. The kitchen was very still. Angela set the mug back down on the counter. She straightened it so the pink flower faced forward. She picked up her tea and finished the last of it. She set the cup in the sink. "I'm going to call Tasha," she said. "She'll come and stay with me tonight. I would like you to go and stay somewhere else." "Angela, can we please just talk?" "We will talk," she said. "But not tonight." Tonight I need you to go. She walked out of the kitchen. She walked upstairs. She sat on the edge of the bed and she called her sister. Tasha answered on the second ring. You're back. How was the? I need you to come, Angela said. A pause. 1 second. Tasha had known Angela her whole life. She heard everything in those 3 words. I'm already getting my keys, Tasha said. Tasha arrived in 20 minutes. By then Michael was gone. He had taken a bag and his phone charger and his keys, and he had stood in the doorway of the bedroom for a moment before he left. Angela was sitting in the chair by the window. She did not look at him. She was looking at the street below. I am sorry, he said. I know, Angela said. She heard him go down the stairs. She heard the front door. She heard his car start. She sat in the quiet of her own bedroom and she breathed. When Tasha arrived, she came with her coat still half on, and a bag she had clearly packed in under 2 minutes, and the specific energy she always brought, which was the energy of a woman who has arrived to stand between her sister and the rest of the world if necessary. Tell me everything, Tasha said. Angela told her. All of it. From the phone call to the arrivals hall to the blue jacket to the pink flower mug to the conditioner bottle in the shower. She told it in order, clearly, without breaking down, the way she told most things. Tasha listened without interrupting. When Angela finished, Tasha sat for a moment. Then she said, He called you baby, while he was standing in the same building. He looked you in the face on FaceTime for 14 nights and picked up her calls on the same phone. And then he picked her up from the same airport he was supposed to pick you up from. Yes. Tasha was quiet for another moment. Then she said very calmly, Okay, so what do you need to do first? This was why Angela called Tasha. Not to be told what to feel. Not to be managed or redirected or told that maybe there was an explanation. Just, what do you need to do first? I need to decide what I am doing, Angela said. And what are you doing? Angela looked at the window. At the street below. At the car that was no longer in the driveway. I am leaving, she said. I just need to do it right. She gave it 2 weeks. Not because she was uncertain. Because she was thorough. She spent those 2 weeks doing what she always did when she had a significant task in front of her. She researched. She organized. She made a list and she worked through it from the top. She spoke to a lawyer on day 3. She went through the financial records on day 5. She discovered several things that surprised her in scale, if not in nature. The joint savings account was significantly lower than it should have been based on the last 18 months of their combined income. There were transfers she did not recognize. Amounts that were not large individually, but were consistent and frequent, and added up to a pattern that told a story she had not been told. She wrote it all down. She made copies of everything relevant and put them in a folder and gave the folder to the lawyer. On day 12, Michael came back to the house for a conversation. He was calmer now. He had the energy of a man who had spent 2 weeks preparing a speech. He sat across from her at the kitchen table. I made a mistake, he said. A serious one. I know that. I am not trying to excuse it. But 7 years is 7 years, and I think we owe it to each other to try. Angela looked at him across the table. Tell me one true thing, Michael. He blinked. What? One true thing. Something you have not managed or calculated. Just one true thing. He was quiet. Because everything you have said to me for the last 6 months has been managed, she said. The FaceTime calls. The good morning messages. The I miss you. All of it was managed. You were performing the husband while you were somewhere else entirely. And I want to know if you are capable of saying one true thing to me right now without calculating how it lands. He looked at his hands. I don't know what I want, he said finally. That, Angela said, is the most honest thing you have said to me in a long time. She stood up. She went to the counter. She picked up a folder and placed it on the table in front of him. The lawyer's details are at the front, she said. The financial summary is behind it. I've noted the transfers I would like explained in the divorce proceedings. I'm not trying to make this ugly, Michael. I'm trying to make it honest, which is more than you gave me. She picked up her bag. I've arranged to stay at Tasha's while the process works through, she said. The house is in both our names. The lawyer will handle the rest. She walked to the entrance hall. She picked up the burgundy suitcase. The one she had brought home from the airport. The one she had packed 2 weeks ago with careful, organized hands. She stood at the front door. She turned back once. I have given 7 years to this marriage, Michael, she said. Her voice was clear and carried the full length of the hallway without effort. I managed this house. I managed our finances. I covered the gaps you didn't know existed because I was filling them before you noticed they were there. I showed up for everything. I showed up when it was hard and when it was boring and when it was the last thing I wanted to do. I showed up. She looked at him. You couldn't even show up at the airport. She opened the front door and walked out. The suitcase rolled behind her on the path. The small gold zipper pull caught the afternoon light. She put it in Tasha's car. She got in. She did not look at the house as they drove away. She looked forward. Chloe moved in 3 weeks later. She arrived with boxes and energy and a clear vision of what the house was going to look like when she was done with it. She had opinions about the furniture arrangement. She had ideas about the color of the feature wall in the living room. She bought new throw pillows and a large mirror for the entrance hall and a set of copper pots for the kitchen that looked beautiful and were completely wrong for the type of cooking that actually happened in that kitchen. She did not know what type of cooking happened in that kitchen. She did not know what type of anything happened in that house because she had never had to keep it running. She found out on the first Monday. Monday was when the household management app sent its weekly summary. Angela had set it up 18 months ago and linked it to the house email. It was a simple system. Bills, subscriptions, maintenance schedules, renewal dates. Everything in one place with automatic reminders. Chloe did not know the house email. She did not know the password. She did not know the app existed. What she did know was that on Monday morning the internet went out. Michael called the provider. The provider said the payment had not processed because the card details had not been updated since the account holder changed. The account holder was Angela. The card was Angela's. The automatic payment that had been running silently for 3 years had simply stopped when Angela's details were removed. Why wasn't this in your name? Chloe asked. Angela managed the accounts, Michael said. You let your wife manage the accounts? She preferred it, Michael said. She was better at it. Chloe looked at him. What else did she manage? The list, it turned out, was longer than Michael had realized while it was being managed. The insurance renewals. The service schedule for the boiler. The quarterly pest control. The annual safety check that kept their home insurance valid. The neighbor arrangement about the parking space. The direct debit for the water softener salt delivery that came every 6 weeks. None of these things had been dramatic. None of them had required visible effort. Angela had managed them all in the background the way you maintain a car, quietly, consistently, so it keeps running and no one has to think about it. When she stopped maintaining them, they did not all break at once. They broke in sequence, one every few days, like lights going out in a house. First one room, then another, until the whole thing was dark. Week 1, the internet. Fixed after 2 days on hold with the provider. Week 2, the boiler service reminder. Ignored because neither of them knew what it meant. The boiler was fine for now, but the service lapse would void the warranty. They did not know this. Week 3, the parking arrangement with the neighbor. The neighbor had an agreement with Angela, a verbal one, a friendly one, built over 3 years of small courtesies and remembered birthdays and the occasional favor exchanged without drama. The neighbor did not have that agreement with Chloe. The parking dispute that followed was not large, but it was relentless, and it made Monday mornings worse for 2 weeks. Week 4, the home insurance renewal letter arrived. The premium had increased. The direct debit detail needed to be updated. Michael opened the letter and stared at it. He called the number on the letter. He was on hold for 40 minutes. He discovered that because the previous policyholder had closed the payment method without setting up a replacement, the policy had technically lapsed for 11 days. He was now being offered a new policy at a higher rate. He sat at the kitchen table with the letter and the phone and the hold music and thought about how he had never once in 7 years thought about the home insurance. It had just been there. Available. Continuous. Like water from a tap. He had not known who turned the tap on. He knew now. Chloe came into the kitchen on a Tuesday morning 3 weeks after moving in and found Michael at the table with a stack of papers and an expression she had not seen on him before. He looked like a man doing a puzzle where the pieces kept multiplying. What is all this? She asked. Bills, Michael said. Admin, things that need sorting. Chloe looked at the stack. Why does it look like this much? Because it was being handled before, and now it is not. She poured herself a coffee and sat across from him. She looked at the top sheet. An insurance document. Then a service reminder. Then what appeared to be a printed email chain about a warranty that had been voided. Angela did all this? Chloe said. Apparently, Michael said. Chloe looked at the stack for a moment. You didn't know? I knew she managed things, he said. I didn't know the full extent of it. Chloe set her coffee down. She looked at him with an expression that was shifting from sympathy to something more careful, more assessing. Michael, she said, when you were telling me about your marriage, when you said she was controlling and that she made you feel small and that the house felt suffocating. Yes, he said. Was the house suffocating? Chloe asked. Or was it just that you didn't realize how much was being done for you and it felt like pressure because you didn't understand where the pressure was coming from? Michael looked at the stack of papers. He did not answer. Chloe stood up. She went to the window. She looked at the garden. Angela had planted the small herb garden along the left wall. Rosemary and thyme, and a mint plant that spread every year and needed cutting back in spring. Nobody had cut it back. It was already starting to spread beyond its bed. Who looks after the garden? Chloe asked. She did, Michael said. Chloe was quiet for a moment. Then, who is your neighbor? The one who keeps leaving notes about the bin placement. Mrs. Okafor, Michael said. She and Angela had an arrangement. What kind of arrangement? I don't know the details, Michael said. Angela handled it. Chloe turned from the window. She looked at Michael at the table with his stack of papers and his voided warranty and his lapsed insurance and his neighbor dispute and his uncut mint plant. She had a thought that she did not say out loud. She turned it over in her mind quietly while she finished her coffee. The thought was this. The man she had believed she was choosing had been held in a specific shape by someone else's daily effort. He had appeared organized because someone organized him. He had appeared reliable because someone was reliable on his behalf. He had appeared like a man whose life was in order because someone spent considerable energy keeping it in order without ever being credited for the keeping. She had not chosen a man. She had chosen the result of another woman's 7 years of work. And without that woman, the result was unraveling at the rate of approximately 1 crisis per week. She set her coffee cup in the sink. I'm going to be late, she said. We'll talk tonight. She picked up her bag. She picked up her keys. She went to the door. She paused. She looked back at Michael at the table. She did not say what she was thinking, but it was loud in her head as she walked to her car and started the engine and pulled out of the driveway past Mrs. Okafor's house and the note pinned to the gate about the recycling bins. She had walked into a life that was already assembled. She had not read the manual. She was not sure, sitting in her car in traffic on a Tuesday morning, that she wanted to learn it. The conversation that ended things happened on a Sunday. Not a dramatic Sunday. A quiet one. The kind that makes everything worse because there is no noise to hide in. Chloe was at the kitchen table with a coffee and her laptop. Michael was somewhere in the house. She had found herself, in the last 2 weeks, doing something she had not expected to do. She had started keeping a list. Not formally. Just a running note in her phone of everything that broke or needed doing or had previously been managed that was now not being managed. She looked at the list. It was 3 pages long and she had only been there for 2 months. Michael came into the kitchen. He looked tired. He had looked tired for 3 weeks. The kind of tired that comes from managing things you are not practiced at managing, from being responsible for the infrastructure of a life that you had previously outsourced without knowing you were outsourcing it. The boiler service, Chloe said. I found the company that used to do it. They have a record of the account. Angela's name is on it. If we want to continue with them, we have to open a new account, and they are booked out for 6 weeks. Okay, Michael said. The home insurance premium is higher because of the lapse. We are paying 40% more per month than Angela was paying. I know, Michael said. The parking situation with Mrs. Okafor is not going to resolve itself. She told me directly last week that her arrangement was with Angela personally, and she does not extend it automatically. I'll talk to her. You have been saying that for 3 weeks, Michael. He sat down. He looked at the table. He did not look like the man who had been in the arrivals hall with his hands in his pockets and his easy smile. He looked like a man standing in a room where all the furniture had been removed, and he was only now registering how large and cold the room actually was. I didn't know it was this much, he said. I know, Chloe said. She just handled it all, and I didn't think about it. I know, Chloe said. A pause. Chloe, Michael said. She looked at him. I am sorry, he said. For the airport. For the way I handled everything. I was not honest with you about the state of things. Chloe looked at the list on her phone. 3 pages. 2 months. You told me she was controlling, Chloe said. You told me she made you feel like you couldn't breathe. You told me the house felt like a job. Yes, Michael said. But she wasn't controlling, Chloe said. She was managing. There is a very large difference between those two things. Controlling is about power. Managing is about keeping the wheels on. She was keeping the wheels on, and you felt the friction of it without understanding what the friction was for. Michael was quiet. I am not built for this, Chloe said. She said it without drama. As a simple observation. The way you say a thing when you have been honest with yourself for long enough that the honesty no longer requires effort. Not because I can't learn it, but because I walked into this thinking I was choosing a life. And the life I was choosing belonged to someone else, and was assembled by someone else, and I am now sitting here with a 3-page list of things that are broken and a man who does not know the name of the company that services his boiler. I can learn, Michael said. We can figure it out together. Chloe looked at him for a long moment. You said that to me once before, she said. On a Tuesday morning when you thought I wasn't paying attention yet. You said to Angela on the phone, we'll figure it out together. And then you drove away from that airport and left her to figure it out alone. She closed her laptop. She stood up. I am going to pack some things, she said. I will come back for the rest next weekend. I'll let you know what time. She walked out of the kitchen. Michael sat at the table alone with his stack of papers and his 3-page list that was not his and his quiet house and the sound of her moving around upstairs. He sat for a long time. He thought about the airport, the arrivals hall, and the dark blue jacket, and the easy smile, and the luggage he had lifted into the boot of his car, while his wife stood 20 meters away with her burgundy suitcase watching him drive away. 7 years of bills paid on time, and insurance renewed without drama, and a boiler that had never once failed because someone booked the service call in October without being asked. He had called all of that suffocating. He understood now what he had actually been calling it. Angela's apartment was on the 2nd floor of a building with a small balcony that caught the morning light. She had found it within 3 weeks of moving into Tasha's spare room. She had approached the apartment search the way she approached everything. Organized. Clear criteria. A list of priorities in order. She had found it quickly. She always found things quickly when she was looking clearly. The apartment was smaller than the house. The kitchen was compact, and the living room doubled as a workspace in the evenings. There was a balcony just wide enough for 2 chairs and a small table. She had put a plant on the table, a rosemary plant from the garden she had left behind, one she had taken a cutting from before she left. She was growing it in a new pot in new soil, and it was doing well. She had gone back to the career project she had put on hold 2 years into the marriage. Not a dramatic return. A quiet one. She had signed up for a certification course. She had started building back the professional network she had let drift. She was good at it. She had always been good at it. She had simply stopped for a while, and now she was starting again, and the restarting felt like putting on a coat she had missed. Tasha came by on Saturday mornings. They had coffee on the balcony and talked the way they had talked when they were younger, about everything and nothing, about what was happening and what was coming and what they were going to do next. One Saturday morning Tasha arrived with croissants and sat in the 2nd balcony chair and looked out at the street below. Michael called me, Tasha said. I know, Angela said. You knew? He said he might. He wanted to know if I was okay. Are you? Tasha asked. Angela held her coffee cup with both hands. She looked at the rosemary plant. It had put out new growth this week, small, bright green shoots at the tips of the branches. I am genuinely okay, Angela said. Not performing okay. Not almost okay. Actually okay. Tasha looked at her sister. The certification course? Going well. Better than I expected. And the rest of it? The house. The divorce. All of it. Angela set her coffee down. She looked at the street. At the morning moving through it, people walking dogs, a child on a bicycle, the ordinary pleasant movement of a Saturday. I stood in that airport with my suitcase, Angela said. And I watched him drive away. And in that moment, I thought it was the worst thing that had happened to me. The most humiliating. The most painful. She paused. But it wasn't, she said. It was the clearest. It was the moment where I could not explain it away or manage it or absorb it. It was just there, plain and undeniable, in the middle of the arrivals hall with the recycled air and the coffee smell and the automatic doors. She looked at Tasha. He did me a favor, Angela said. He just didn't know that was what he was doing. Tasha was quiet for a moment. Then she said, And Chloe? Gone, Angela said. 3 weeks ago. He told you. His lawyer mentioned it to mine. He's in the house alone. Tasha looked at the rosemary plant, at the new green growth at the tips. How do you feel about that? Angela picked her coffee back up. She thought about it honestly. She looked at the plant. She looked at the street. She looked at the second chair on the balcony and the small table and the morning light coming in from the east. I feel nothing for him that hurts anymore, she said. I feel something closer to clarity. He is going to have to figure out who he is without someone else's scaffolding holding him up. That is not a punishment. That is just the consequence of how he lived. She took a sip of her coffee. I am more interested in what I am building now, she said. The scaffold was holding him up and holding me in place at the same time. I am out from under it. I can see the sky. Tasha reached across and touched her sister's hand once. Then she picked up a croissant. Tell me about the certification course, she said. And Angela did. She talked for 20 minutes about the project she was building and the direction she was moving and the things she was learning that she had always wanted to learn. She talked the way she had not talked in 7 years, with her whole self in it, with nothing held back to manage someone else's discomfort. The morning light moved across the balcony. The rosemary plant sat in its pot with its new bright shoots. The street below moved with its ordinary Saturday life. And Angela sat in her own chair in her own morning in her own life, and felt the particular freedom of a woman who has finally stopped carrying what was never hers to carry, and is now, with both hands empty, building exactly what she always meant to build. The suitcase was in the bedroom wardrobe now, the burgundy one with the small gold zipper pull. She had kept it. She thought about this sometimes. About why she kept it. She kept it because it was the object that held the whole story. She had packed it with her own organized hands and left for 2 weeks and come back to a life she did not recognize. She had stood in the arrivals hall with it beside her and watched her husband drive away with someone else. She had carried it out of her front door at the end. She had arrived at Tasha's with it. She had arrived at the apartment with it. It had been with her through all of it. From the leaving to the returning to the leaving again. From the life she had to the life she was building. Some people leave a marriage with nothing. Angela left with her suitcase, her certification, her clarity, and herself. She left with the knowledge that she had shown up for 7 years, that she had done the real work, the invisible daily work that keeps a life running, and that she had done it with care and thoroughness and without being asked. She had not been seen while she was doing it. She was seen now, by the only person whose seeing had always mattered most. Herself. The lesson of this story, it is not about a man who lied on a phone call, or a woman who drove away from an arrivals hall in someone else's car. Those things are just what happened on the surface. Underneath them is something simpler and older and more true. We often confuse the person who manages things with the thing that needs managing. We see the house running, and we think the house runs. We see the finances stable, and we think the finances are stable. We see the life looking ordered, and we think the life is ordered. We do not see the hands that are ordering it. We do not see the hours and the attention and the daily invisible labor that produces the order we are benefiting from without knowing we are benefiting from it. Michael didn't know what he had. Not because he was stupid, because he never had to know. And the luxury of not having to know was something Angela's work had paid for every single day. When she stopped paying, the bill arrived. Chloe didn't steal a life. She walked into a vacancy left by a departure and discovered that the vacancy was not an opening. It was a responsibility. And the responsibility was larger and more detailed than anything she had been shown. She left. Not because she was weak. Because she was honest. And Angela. Angela is on a balcony with a rosemary plant and a certification course and a sister who comes on Saturdays and a suitcase that has been everywhere with her and a life that is finally, entirely, undeniably her own. She did not need revenge. She needed room. And the airport, the place where it all cracked open, turned out to be exactly where the room began. But now I want to hear from you. Have you ever stood in your own moment of humiliation and realized, only later, that it was actually the moment you got free? Have you ever done the invisible work so thoroughly that the people around you didn't know it existed until it stopped? Tell us your story in the comments below. We read every single one in this community, and your experience matters here. If this story moved something in you today, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes the most important reminder is that the quiet work you are doing is real, and it is seen, even when the wrong people are not the ones seeing it. And if you have not yet subscribed to her drama tales, do it now. We tell the stories that remind you who you are. We will see you in the next drama.